I'm going to be mercifully short with this, I think, because I haven't really read over it yet, but I will one day. Vito Gesualdi, who called himself a pedophile and is friends with pedophile Max Carson since high school, after deciding that Eric July is a for being black and making a comic that he did not authorize, Vito decided, you know what, I'm going to make my own comic with blackjack and hookers. So he went onto the internet and he begged for money and received about $60,000 to start a comic book called SuperKiller, which would be his answer to show the world that really he has writing chops. He loves comics. It's his lifelong passion. And he definitely has what it takes to be a comic book writer, to challenge a hack fraud like Eric July and one up the Black Man Super Comic game. Well, he was asking for some creative input on his writing on a stream recently, and he decided I'll pull up the script and I'll go to certain parts and I'll talk about the script with these people. And what he didn't realize is that when he was screen sharing, the URL at the top of the page for the Google Drive document was a full a full access URL. So anyone with that link would be able to view the entire document and save it as a PDF file, which they did. So now the entire script of the unreleased SuperKiller has been released, I suppose intentionally. I don't know how these things work. I'm assuming that he wanted more input before he finalized and paid for all the art and stuff, right? So if we want to go over this and review it, as of course Vito has done with other artists and their comic books, I would be completely within my rights to, chat. Especially considering that this book will never ever be fucking released because it's shit. I base this off of skimming through it. I'm gonna read. Let's start with the ending. Actually, I like starting with the ending because the main character, SuperKiller, you could be forgiven for not realizing this because of how he's skinny and not a fat, disgusting piece of shit slob. This is supposed to be like Vito's self-insert. So let's just read the ending. Spoiler alert, Snape kills Dumbledore. It's a cliffhanger. I suppose, apparently comic books end on cliffhangers. You got to get people buying the next episode. Eric July ended his comic book on a cliffhanger, so it's not that bad, right? Page 47, overhead shot. This is panel 1. Overhead shot. Beck, who is the sidekick, says, or apparently her being the sidekick is like a huge deal in the way that this is structured, but she is, I think, an unwitting heroine. She's like joindered on against her will, and I'll talk about her a bit more in a second. But Beck is passed out in the grass, completely naked. Sam has landed on top of her and appearing to straddle her sexually. Sam, well, this looks bad. Panel 2. Sam's head turns towards a nearby shriek. Woman off screen, eek. Panel 3. A woman points at Sam. Onlookers behind her turning in the direction of her scream. Woman, rapist, get your hands off her. Panel 4. Sam is still straddling Beck, one of his hands on her breast. We see 2 Sam heads, one trying to explain the situation to the woman and the other looking down and freaking out as he realizes what he's touching. Whip blur between both heads. So that's like very anime. Sam, lady, this is all a big mistake, I assure you. Sam again, ah. This is the last page of the book. Panel 1. An angry man holds up a beer bottle, pointing at Sam. Another angry park patrons are behind him. Man, let's kick his ass. Panel 2. The angry mob descends on Sam, kicking up a cartoonish dust cloud that envelops him. Sam, ah. And then Sam, B-jams. Ah. Beck, where do they get their money? Ah. Just kidding. Panel 3. Beck, barely conscious. Shot is framed chest up. Her nipples tastefully just out of frame. Her mouth is flat. What the fuck does that mean? Can anyone explain to me what a flat mouth is? Besides her, the mob fights in a cloud of dust. Man off screen. What's that chest emblem stand for? Sex creep? Sam, please, this is all a misunderstanding. Panel 4, close-up of Beck. She smiles, as if in a dream. Panel 5, this is the final panel of the entire book. Super close-up of Beck, speaking the word that she has been waiting to hear her entire life. Beck. Sidekick. And then I assume there's no page 49, but I'm assuming that he's adding the panel where the snow globe rolls out of her hand and smashes on the fucking ground. It's basically, if you really think about it, this is a masterpiece. If you haven't picked up on the symbolism is that Vito, because of his own words and associations and deliberate actions and what he's decided to talk about for years and years, has been called a pedophile. Probably because he is one. And SuperKiller, his self-insert, or SuperKiller, is also being falsely accused of something he didn't do. And the angry mob just doesn't understand. It's a misunderstanding, Uwu. And now poor SuperKiller, just like Vito in real life, is being beaten up by people who just don't take a second to listen to his reasonable explanations of things. Rose Chud. So that's how it ends. Snape killed Dumbledore. And then let's go back to the first page, or this is the page 2. So this is where Beck is introduced, and I clipped these out just because it's like everything in this is supposed to be a parody. It's a work of satire, so there's like supposed to be all these Family Guy like references to fucking everything. Like this is like the time that the Simpsons did this thing. So he has like an image because he can't explain these references in like a rational way. So he just includes like a screenshot of The Simpsons. In this one, he's trying to explain what a NEET's bedroom looks like. So he just includes a shot of some anime. If you know what anime this is, please take a gun and shoot yourself in the head. And then in flipping back to Beck, he just picked like a random picture of this. And what's really weird is that this picture of the diner woman is completely and totally not a representation of what he's actually describing in his comic book. Page 2, panel 1, inside Diner Day. Small inset corner panel, comic book sits on the diner counter. The page is open to reveal the entirety of the previous page was actually a page from an Interworld Meteor Man comic book. A female hand holds the page open. Beck off screen. Wow. So the first page is supposed to be some bullshit where it's like a traditional style superhero comic, and then it cuts to the reality, and then there's actually a comic book, and it's supposed to set up, this comic is not like other comics. We're going to break the fourth wall. I'm a pickle, Rick. It's like that. That's how bad we are right off the bat. Panel 2, then we have the picture of a random woman who is completely not what he's describing in the paragraph under it. Full page shot, we meet our heroine, Rebecca Romano, aka Beck. This is our first ever shot of our heroine. Make it count. She's a bit of a nerd, the kind of girl to throw on a gamer headset and play some League of Legends rather than hit the mall or club. But despite her tomboyish attitude, she is an understated beauty with dark lashes, full lips, and cascading brown hair. So if you're the type of guy that masturbates to tomboy shit on the internet, the people jerking off with you are Vito. I just want to make sure that that is known. That's what's being described here. That's the camp you find yourself in. Oh, sorry, I got rid of the beautiful comic I want you to read. She wears a stereotypical waitress's outfit. See the reference above. Man, thank God for this reference. If it wasn't for this reference, I would never know what a fucking diner waitress wears. That my world of understanding does not include concepts such as diners. Thanks, Vito. Then there's this description. This is right here. This is on page 3. So this is like your introduction to this 50-page comic book. Beck looks down at the comic book on the counter, appearing bored. One hand holds the comic book open while she rests her chin on the other. Her name tag clearly reads Beck. Behind her are expected accessories of a diner: a microwave, condiment bottle, coffee machine, whatever feels right. Beck, were comics always this bad? So page 3, all you see so far is like I assume actually, let me pull up the first page. Let me see if this is like a direct Eric July reference that I'm just not getting. I want to make sure that my SuperKiller review is completely accurate. Page 1. This entire page should be done up as a page from the Golden Age comic book, Screen Tone's old-fashioned artwork. So this isn't even specifically making fun of Eric July. This is just supposed to be like, remember old comics? Weren't they bad? Like, yeah. Panel 1, inside secret base. The fiendishly evil villain UFO bot at a computer control panel. His eyes wide open to find his evil deeds are interrupted by the arrival of a mighty hero, Meteor Man. The hero's flying punch has easily broken through the rock of USO bot's secret base. Bits of debris are still filling the air. Meteor Man flies through the hole his punch has created. It says, looks like the jig is up, UFO bot. UFO bot says, Meteor Man, but that radioactive meteorite should have disabled your powers. So this is supposed to be like intentionally bad. But then it cuts to, yeah, it's just like trite shit. Ironically, this is like the most detailed page of the entire thing. Like the only thing that Vito describes that takes up like 3 pages like this is apparently the one page that's supposed to be really bad. He knows what bad looks like. That's what I'm getting from this. Cool. There's 50 pages of SuperKiller for you to read. This is only version 3, so keep in mind he might update this and fix everything. But what you're reading has gone through 3 iterations of revision, and this is what it's mounted up to. This is such a bad idea for Vito. Why did he choose down the hill if I can make a good comic even though I have no experience and don't like comics? Because he's a fat retard. That can be described by literally everything that Vito does, is he's a fat retard. Why does he think that he can do certain things? Because he's a fat retard. I mean, no. His current tweets are like, your outrage makes me famous, idiot. Like, nobody's supporting you. Your videos make like $12 a month on YouTube, and that's with the Star Wars shit that broke $1 million. He lives in California and he makes less than like $50,000 a year, and I'm supposed to be jealous of his income? Are you fucking ridiculous? Like, and imagine all the things he's had to sacrifice. Whenever like you hear, oh, this guy makes $50,000 off of his internet presence, that's his entire life. He lives in LA. He's cut off his prospects. He's known as a pedophile because he keeps defending stupid, edgy shit and has outright said that he's a pedophile. And now that's like his lot. And he makes a little bit and he makes enough money to feed his fat ass, and that's about it.